Hey folks, Adam Mills with Mills Ammunition. At the reloading bench today, it's October 21st. And you might be witnessing one of the biggest legislation, political changes ever to happen in the 2A world. I think this is absolutely huge. If you own a Glock, or if you ever want to own a Glock, you're going to need to hear what I'm fixing to tell you. On October 10th, California's Governor Gavin Newsom signed Assembly Bill 1127. Assembly Bill 1127 essentially blocks the sale and transfer of Glocks as we know them today. So I've got over here, I've got 4 Glocks. I've got a G17, a G47, a G45, and a G19. So what the legislation really targets is Glock's cruciform trigger bar. So we'll take a look at it this way. So you can kind of see how there's the trigger bar, and we can kind of see how it's like a crucifix that goes right across there. We'll look at an FNS long slide, and we can see that that same piece, part of the trigger bar there, doesn't look the same. So it's a unique design to Glocks, kind of. But there are plenty of other guns. There are plenty of other guns that use the cruciform trigger. So, you know, what's interesting about that is that there's tons of these Glock clones that are out there, and that's going to fall under all this stuff as well. So, and on top of that, the early Canik TP9s used a cruciform trigger. Their early Mets, the Walther PPQ, I believe, Steyrs had those too. So there's more guns than just Glocks, but specifically this is an attack against the Glock firearm. Now remember, this is their design that millions and millions and millions and millions of people have in their Glock handguns, and it's been around for over 40 years. Readily convertible. So hang on to that term, readily convertible. That's a big term that's going to grab a bunch of different stuff, but that's the term, readily convertible to a machine gun. Well, it's not readily convertible unless you have a device. This device is not manufactured by Glock, and it's been called the Glock switch. The other name for these is MCDs, or machine gun convertible device. So I'm going to attach a couple different videos that shows you how the Glock trigger works. That'll help you understand what the Glock switch does and how it works. So I want to talk real quickly about the Glock switch. So be clear, Glock didn't design this gun to be used with the Glock switch. It's not their thing, right? They got nothing to do with it. These Glock switches, they're illegal. They're already illegal underneath the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act and the NFA. So, you know, banning something that's already against the law doesn't make a lot of sense. And it shows you what California's real intent is. You know, the criminals that are using these Glock switches, they're breaking the law. They're already breaking the law. They can't break into the law anymore and any less. $250,000 fine, up to $250,000 fine, or up to 10 years in prison. So what does AB 1127 does? Well, it bans the sale of any guns that have the cruciform trigger bar. So that's going to encompass, like I said before, I believe, Glocks, Timberwolf, the PSA Dagger. There's lots of Glock clones out there, and they're all using the same, you know, the same trigger design that Glock came up with. So those guns will all be banned. So think about that. The most popular gun in America banned in the most populous state. It's crazy. And it's just not California. Every town it has partnered with the city of Chicago. They're suing Glock. They're sued right now by the city of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, the state of Minnesota, and the city of Seattle, Washington, all suing Glock because of the cruciform trigger. And it's all based on the predication that Glock knew that their trigger system was easily manipulated by a device like a Glock switch, so that to making the guns fully automatic. Well, guess what? They've been making these trigger devices for almost over 40 years. The Glock switch just came about pretty recently. In fact, you can look it up yourself, but my understanding is there's only been 4 shootings where a Glock switch has been proved to be used. Keep in mind, all of these suits all claim that Glock knew that these guns were readily convertible. Now, here's the huge thing about this. So what does Glock do? Well, I think they got their pants pulled down a little bit earlier than they thought they would. So I guess the story was kind of broke, and it got out there a lot earlier than they would have liked. November 30th, Glock is going to stop distributing all of their models, except a 43, a 43X, and a 48X. That's it. All the other models will not be distributed after November 30th. Glock says that these old models will be replaced with their new models, the V series. Well, my understanding is the V series won't be ready for sale, or won't be presented at SHOT Show, but will be displayed at the NRA gun show, which I believe is in April. Don't quote me on that, but that's, I think, when the public's going to get their first look at them. What is this going to do? Well, whether we like it or not, there is a run on Glocks. As crazy as that may sound, that is exactly what is happening right now. The main distributor that I use, I checked this morning, and there was some that were out of stock, specifically the MOS stuff. All the MOS stuff is not going to be available, according to Glock, when they first reintroduced the V series. So I guess the MOS stuff is coming out later. So when will you be able to buy a new Glock with a Glock V with an MOS? No one knows. But I do know that a run on Glocks is a real thing, and we're fixing to see the biggest massive shift in Glock ownership that we've ever seen. I mean, I'm pretty taken aback with Glock's reaction. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away by it, to be frank with you. Look, the ban on the in California, 11/27, doesn't start until July, I believe. So up until that point, you can buy, transfer the current version of Glock. So that can happen. There's legislation already. I believe the NRA is partnered up with a couple other different organizations. So that suit has already started in the state of California. So what will happen there, I don't know. But for Glock to basically say, hey, you know, this is what I feel like Glock's doing. They're stating by their behavior that they made a mistake. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's what I believe their behavior is stating. That they made a mistake, that all the claims that these anti-gunners, the Giffords, Everytown, these leftist blue states, all the claims they're making that Glock was aware that this was an issue, Glock, by getting rid of all of the Glocks that they make, they're saying, yeah, this is an issue and we don't want to be a part of it anymore. So that, to me, is crazy. I think that's a huge mistake on Glock. And I'm going to get there, and I'm going to tell you exactly why it's a huge mistake by Glock. And I'm going to show you exactly why it's a trap. But another huge danger of this is the state of California, these other people, they're targeting a design. Right? They're saying this design is illegal, and it's a semi-automatic gun, and it can be readily convertible to a machine gun. Well, theoretically, any semi-automatic gun can be converted to fully automatic. I'm not a gunsmith. I've never done that, and I have no intentions to do so. But stating clear facts is that semi-automatic guns, my understanding is, can be somehow converted to fully automatic. So who is California or whoever else, any other legislative body, what stops them from targeting God knows what different semi-automatic guns? I don't think this thing has a chance to last. I really don't. I think Bruin is very clear, and what Bruin states is gun laws must be rooted in historical laws. There has never been a historical law to ban any semi-automatic gun. That goes directly against Bruin. To me, it should be a no-brainer. What I think this does is I think it sets up Glock for a huge fall. I don't think we have to go back far. I think we go back to 2012. I think we go back to Sandy Hook. I think we go back to the fact that Remington was liquidated. I think it sets them up for that. I think that the leftists and the anti-gunners are waiting for a quote-unquote mass shooting with a Glock, and with a Glock with a Glock switch on it. And I think they're in a world of hurt. I think they show up in court with their hat in their hand, saying, "Hey, yeah, we thought this was a problem. As a matter of fact, we changed all of our guns, but we couldn't get these guns back. So, I mean, our bad." I think it opens them up for absolute destruction, is what I think. And I think it's the pitfall and the trap that the left, I think the left and Everytown and the Giffords have really set for these people. So I really do think that this is an epic 2A event. The largest gun manufacturer, pistol manufacturer in America, right? As far as their products are purchased in America, law enforcement, the duty gun of law enforcement in America is pulling all of their models. This is absolutely historic, and it will cause a run on Glocks, and it has, and it will. And these Glocks right here, I guarantee you, just got worth a little bit more than what they were worth yesterday. So tell me what you think. Is Glock making the right move, or did they make a horrible decision? Drop a comment below, share. I'd love to hear your thoughts. People are going to think about this very differently, and there's going to be a lot of people that probably think like I do. But if you don't think like I do, I'd love to hear about you, and I'd love to hear what problems you see coming. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. I'm going to stay on top of this. This is a huge deal to us. We actually make a GSSF specific round for Glocks that we just came out with in the last week or so. So it's a huge deal for little old Mills ammunition. So like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. We appreciate your comments below. Again, I'm Adam Mills with Mills Ammunition, family-run, veteran-owned, small ammunition manufacturer in Huntersville, North Carolina. We appreciate you. As always, this is a Hold My Beer production, and remember, we're all in this together. Appreciate you.